Good afternoon and welcome to Thompson Today here on 102.9 CHTM. I'm Sue O'Brien and my guest today is Jason Matity with Matity's Get Fishing. We'll be talking today about National Fishing Week. Thanks for joining me today, Jason.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Jason, you and your brother Jeff launched Matity's Get Fishing back in 2006. Please tell our listeners a bit about Get Fishing and why it was important for you to be part of the fishing movement.
For sure. Well, we're passionate about angling. It's all we do. And, it's fishing, though. Some days we're good at it, and other days the fish remind us that we got a lot to learn in terms of success. But we just wanted people to get out and enjoy the great outdoors. And through some video work that we post on there, through our social media, through some writing that my brother does with a great magazine called justfishing.ca, we just wanted to share our passion and tips so that people can feel more confident about being successful out on the water. Because fishing is one thing, but being able to actually catch something, it's euphoric for people. We've seen this with kids and just getting them out and having that feeling of success. That's what really excites us at MatitysGetFishing.com, is being able to help people be successful on the water and actually catch a fish.
And you're an ambassador for National Fishing Week, which is almost upon us. What are the dates for it this year?
June 29th to July 7th is when National Fishing Week occurs. That's our Canadian celebration of all things angling. And really the whole idea behind it is unplugging, getting off your devices, getting out, getting some fresh air, and enjoying our great Canadian outdoors and doing a little fishing at the same time. For some jurisdictions, there's free fishing weeks in there, or weekends where you don't need a license and that type of thing. But it's really just to promote and encourage people to get out and get fishing.
Jason, what's the benefit of us just taking off with our fishing rods?
In addition to the process of catching a fish, the mental wellness it provides, I know for me, is immeasurable. I think a lot of our worlds, especially as we continue to get more urbanized in Canada, we just, by engineering, get away from those nature experiences, those natural experiences. And that's what fishing does for me. I'm learning this more and more the older I get, is that, I still want to catch. It got a little bit of competitiveness in me. Get blue if I don't catch, but it's just being out there, hearing the birds, seeing the water. It is renewing to my very soul to get out there. And that's why it's important to me.
Why is fishing a skill we should develop, aside from it being a relaxing pastime?
It's one of those things that there's a lot of good life lessons in fishing. Being able to read water, understand storms coming in and when it's time to leave, or the best times to go, which for me is any time as long as it's safe to do so. You can maybe carry it on out to a boat. Learning how to tie knots, learning how a fish, their habits and predator-prey relationships, and being able to understand the whole ecosystem of not just the fishing, but what lives on the land. And there's just so many lessons out there to help you deal with adversity, and it just kind of goes on and on.
And what about the chance to actually eat some fish?
Well, yes, of course. We do a lot of catch and release with getfishing.ca, and a lot of the techniques we promote, you catch really, really big fish. So one of the things we want to talk about a lot is conservation, particularly your pike and your walleyes, which are the most popular fish in Canada, particularly walleyes. We promote catch and release of the bigger, more mature fish, those ones sort of over that 18-inch mark. And the reason is, this is one of those activities that is self-renewing and is sustainable as long as you put back the key fish so that they can continue to reproduce. The one thing that, as our population continues to grow, we need to be very mindful of keeping the right fish. And those smaller fish, they taste better. They're not reproducing yet. They're more numerous, so you can keep more of those and the population will still sustain itself. And they're nutritious. Fish are delicious, nutritious, solid, fast-cooking protein for us to enjoy with our families. And they call it brain food because there's lots of research that indicates it's good for your mind, good for your cardiovascular system. There's a lot of benefits and health reasons why you want to eat a few fish, too.
I'm sure most of our listeners are aware of this, but you can't just fish anytime you want, anywhere you want. How can people make sure they're following their local or provincial guidelines?
That's a great question, Susan, and very extremely important. And what you need to do when you go buy a license, most of the time you're doing it online. Most tackle stores, if you got a local one, go in, you can ask a few questions for regulations. Sometimes they'll have it on paper and a pamphlet, but search fishing for your jurisdiction, whether you're in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Ontario, whatever it is. You'll be able to find the government webpage that has a whole list of the rules. And some of them can be quite complicated, but it's all a matter of you got to go in there and read the rules, because there's size limits, there's lake limits. Some lakes are closed longer than others. And National Fishing Week, if you go to Keep Canada Fishing or National Fishing Week, Google it, find it online, social media. We've got a lot of the resources on those pages as well that send you to those specific provincial areas.
What does your ideal fishing spot look like? Now, I'm not looking for a specific location, but just some features of what your ideal spot looks like.
You know, I am a multi-species angler who likes going out to the coast for salmon and likes jigging in a creek for suckers and carp. I just want the rod to bend, for me. But I have to say the Shield, where I've got rock cuts on either side of me and a little bit of flowing water, with walleye, bass, and if I'm lucky enough, a muskie that wants to come and shake up the party. That, to me, is the idyllic setting. There's just something about that just taps into my very soul and gets me excited.
To wrap up, Jason, what's the best way for people to get more information about National Fishing Week?
Well, again, Keep Canada Fishing. If you Google that resource, that's going to get you some of that information. Going to our website, the easiest way to get there is getfishing.ca or manatiesgetfishing.com. You can even contact us there, and we're more than happy to answer your questions. There's lots of different ways out there. Keep Canada Fishing and getfishing.ca would be among the very best.
How often do you plan to get out this week?
As often as I can. Essentially, if I see a body of water, I want to put the vehicle in park and go make a few casts, hoping there's something in there. I'm that kind of guy that I get out as often as I can. It's just very, very important to who I am to be able to go fishing. So
you have all the tackle and rods and reels in the trunk of your vehicle?
I usually have, a collapsible rod and reel in every vehicle I own, just in case I see an emergency spot, stop and take a few casts.
I hope our listeners also have a chance to grab their rod and reel and find their favorite fishing hole this week.
Absolutely, and by all means, enjoy it if you get a chance to go out. And if you're going out for the first time, stop at your local tackle shop, and they'll tackle you up and make sure you've got the right other tools like pliers and things to make sure you are able to extract those hooks safely from the fish. So the hooks come out of the fish and they don't go into you. That's another important thing, is to make sure that you're handling those fish with care, both for them and for your own health. Thanks again for your time today, Jason. Thank you. This is National Fishing Week. It runs right through until this Sunday. My guest today has been Jason Matity from Matity's Get Fishing. He is an ambassador for the National Fishing Week. For this edition of Thompson Today here on 102.9 CHTM, I'm Sue O'Brien.